We love it.
It's 5, isn't it?
It's 5, right on time.
Somewhere.
Yeah, 5 o'clock somewhere.
Where's
Nice.
the
Stina.
You are recording. Wait, let me open my beer.
Welcome to our city council meeting on June 24th, 2020. It is a special meeting. We are managing the meeting through audio video broadcast, so welcome everyone. Our first item of business is, of course, establishing a quorum. We have absolutely every single council member here joining us on this special meeting today. So with that, we will go into special instructions. I am asking that all members of the council and staff should begin speaking by stating their full name and their SMD position or role within the city. Item 3, which is public comment. At this point, we have received no comments, so there will be no additions to this meeting relative to public comment. And now we move into our special agenda. The special agenda is item A, consider resolution authorizing the city manager to apply for Defense Community Infrastructure Pilot Program grant with a local match not to exceed $6,500,000 and execute all related documents. So today the presentation will be made by Shane Kelton, but he's there, okay? And Carol Ann Bonds. And Carol Ann, I'm gonna allow you to talk to us about this grant. You're very involved and have been very encouraging in terms of making sure we apply for this grant. So would you go ahead and talk through the grant and the reasons you believe so strongly in this grant application?
Mayor, have the city council members already said their name? And
they will only say their name, Dr. Bonds, okay, when they have a question or a comment to make. So they will, at the end of your presentation and conversation, we will ask for questions and comments.
Okay. This grant is a brand new federal grant issued to meet, you can apply with tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 main concepts. And you get more points if you apply under tier 1, which we are. But we are sneaking in, to use Carol Ann's word, a little bit that I hope they will give us credit for under tier 2. Tier 1 is to improve the quality of life for Goodfellow Air Force Base service members. And we are expanding that to which they strongly suggested in the grant application. We're improving the quality of life for Goodfellow Air Force Base service members, school children, families, and the community through reconstruction of road, water, and sewer infrastructure. And then here comes the second part, which will touch on tier 2, is added health resiliency through a pedestrian trail and biking system. And even though the plans are all part there, the road construction and the construction of the bike and trails, that comes under 2 of the tiers. Now, what we had to answer this question: what are the installation needs? And what we have said, and I mean we, Rick Weiss, Tina Diersky, I'm sure Teresa has looked at it, and Shane Kelton, and some others, but those are the main ones I've worked with over the phone. And by the way, you all are a dream team. Okay, what are the needs? Goodfellow Air Force Base has a many-year unmet need of expansion and reconstruction of the water and sewer infrastructure entering and exiting the base. And that the current, am I saying this, Shane, right? Vitrified clay sewer pipe and cast iron water mains are years past their designed life cycle. And this issue, and we had to address this, degrades military family quality of life. That phrase had to be addressed, due in part to the ongoing fear of water and sewage pipe failure, which would result in portions of the base being shut down for periods of time while the infrastructure was repaired. This project would replace the intermediate trunk main that accepts 2 of the 3 exit points of sewer lines and the water main that feeds 1 of 4 major water line entrances onto Goodfellow Air Force Base, thus greatly reducing the risk to infrastructure failure. The second unmet need surrounding Goodfellow Air Force Base have resulted in the roadway has resulted in unnecessary congestion and safety concerns due to the need for expansion, resurfacing, widening, and the creation of a multi-use pedestrian pathway system that provides both hike and bike elements. And I just, with Shane's help, I just would have written, the roads are really bad, okay? But Shane and his staff helped me to know how this already project that had been designed. Is that right, Shane? And
Correct. We had this in our CIP. We had this in our CIP program, and we were preparing this project when this opportunity came along.
And what this, if I'm understanding right, Shane has educated me mightily about this stuff. Hold on, I just had that what this grant allows is doubling what the city could have done with their resources. Is that right, Shane?
Correct. That is right.
Okay, so I went in your packet, you see a little bit more about those arteries, the state artery, the road artery, and I felt pretty comfortable in saying, and then Shane said yes, in all of my trips to Glenmore Elementary and Bel Air Elementary and the base, that getting them access to schools by walking and biking where they didn't have to walk on some of those roads that are narrow, and was thrilling to me. And I understand that our base, Goodfellow Air Force Base leaders are in the audience, and Colonel Nazario, our wing commander, you have, as I understand it, about 25,000 students coming over the course of a year into Goodfellow. And someone at Goodfellow does not let them have a vehicle for the first part of their entrance from basic training into the technical training. Now, I'm not blaming you, but what this will do is make them feel a little better about you, sir, because they will have immediate access to the hiking trail that will give them access to parts of the city in our beautiful river trails and other things that they were having to pay transportation. So you're going to look a little better in their eyes, Colonel. I just want you to know that. So the project summary, I've pretty well told you what it is, but I think this is real important because I didn't have a clue, still don't, what this means, but it sounds significant, and it is to Shane that it will be the deteriorating iron water mains will be replaced with modern 50-year lifespan pressure pipe, and existing 12-inch vitrified clay sewer mains will be replaced with new 18-inch sewer mains. And I think that's just dadgum significant. It's not flashy, but you think it's flashy, don't you, Shane?
Most of the things that I work on, nobody else but me thinks is flashy. So.
But when you get it done and these trails and bike paths, you called it a system of bike paths and hiking trails, a lot of people are going to be grateful for that. All right, the other thing I wanted to add, it was something about 7,000 linear, oh, here it is. This makes you understand also not only how many mains, but at the two major intersections that Colonel Naz, even though you live on base and you don't have to go through those intersections, much of your permanent party come from off base and have to go through those intersections. And this will add 7,200 linear feet of new sewer and water infrastructure. That's a lot, isn't it, Shane?
It is. When you look at it, you're looking at a mile and a half, almost 2 miles of each pipeline there. So doing that, and then also as you look into the signalized intersections at both ends, the one right there at Cristobal Road and South Concho going as you enter towards the south entrance of the base, and then also at Avenue L and Cristobal Road on the north side. As you're going through those intersections, we'll make sure that those intersections are upgraded, not only to meet the actual criteria that we have to have these for these new systems these days, but also to add, which I think is vital in this, is to add compliant pedestrian elements to those signalized intersections as well. So we'll have safe crosswalks. We'll have the ones with the verbal commands, audible commands on them. So they'll be actually brought up to today's standards as well.
Another thing I stressed in this grant, because the federal and state folks who are that have some grant money, and by the way, I left out a critical word. This is a pilot program, and so I'm real excited. We could have asked for a lot more money if we had more matching funds, but that is the nature of both state grants and federal grants. You got to match. And so I just am so pleased for these people who are a little bit out, and these arteries are their main main traffic pathway into the main part of San Angelo, and it will all be improved. So I went from really to I'm very excited about what these people are gonna have the improvements and safety. So I'm through.
Great. Shane, would you like to add some comments to that before I allow city council members to ask more questions and make comments?
Sure, I think this is a wonderful opportunity for us because prior to this, as Dr. Bond stated, that we only had enough funds to just do the basics of this roadway for the rehabilitation of this roadway in this area. So with this opportunity, it really expands our project to something that is going to be much larger and much more beneficial to the area neighborhood as well as the Air Force Base at this time. So we really believe this is a great idea. And you know, from staff's perspective, you know, we definitely want to recommend that the city council will let the city manager let us apply for this grant, because we just believe that it is going to give us so much bang for our buck.
Yeah, last thing, of course, is where do we get the $6,500,000? I want Tina to go through the funding aspect, if you would, Tina.
Yes, ma'am. The portion that is dedicated to streets will come from our regular street improvement and reconstruction bond funds that are dedicated for that purpose. There will also be a portion of the expenditures that come from water and water and sewer capital funds. And that will probably most likely be pay-as-you-go capital funds through those particular dedicated funds. Right now, we're looking at a cost estimate of approximately $12 million. And the city engineer and Shane and his folks are working through right now exactly how much will come from each of those funds, but we will have sufficient funding to cover it, or at least the 50% local match from the city side.
Okay, Billy, you've raised your hand. Would you like to make comment or ask questions?
Ask a question. Thank you, Mayor. Shane, first of all, if I understood you correctly, you said that this was already something we had in our CIP. How much did you have this projected to cost in the CIP?
My portion of this, and which was really from the street side of it, which was really what we had the funding set aside for in this project. It's only because of this grant opportunity that we're able to input the sewer and the water into it as well at this time as well. But we had approximately 1.4 million set aside for Oak Cristobal Road.
Okay, so that does not include what would have been the expense for the sewer and water main?
Correct. That is just on the street side, the water and the sewer. Although Allison had that out into the future because it actually was in the water master plan that was just completed back in 18, our water system master plan back in 18, that this cast iron water main is going to be replaced. It was one of the things that was either in the high range or the extreme range of needing replacement. So that was something she was getting ready to do. And we were trying to figure out how we were going to do that in conjunction. However, that was not tied in. Her funding isn't always necessarily tied directly to my funding. We work together to make sure that we, if I'm getting ready to redo a road, she does the water main under it before I redo the road. So we kind of work hand in hand, trying to make sure that we don't put the cart before the horse and build a road and then have to put the pipe in afterwards. So, but again, I can't necessarily speak to her timing, but the timing on ours was for this year in this bond letting, and to we did have about 1.4 set aside for the street rehab work.
Okay, well, what I was trying to get at on that, since this match, as I read, is about $6.5 million, what I was trying to get at, if we already had funds that we were looking at spending that will be taken care of in this grant, you know, we already had money or we were going to plan to set aside money and somehow fund that. So I think that's an important point for us to consider as we, you know, talk about this. Thank you.
Mayor, if I may,
Tina, and then Harry, I'll acknowledge you in 1 minute. Let Tina add a comment, and then Harry, you're on, and then Lane, you're next, okay?
okay, I just wanted to respond to Billy's question. We in finance work regularly with Allison on her budget and the rate plan that we implemented about 5 years ago. And we include a portion that we expect to go towards each of these street projects in the year that Shane has them in his street plan. So I feel confident that Allison has been planning ahead for those expenditures. And we'll work with her to make sure that she has that funding available.
All right, and Harry, you're on, please. Harry Thomas from Single Member District 3.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to make a comment. I had this conversation with Tina, so I understood where the funds were, and I appreciate Councilwoman DeWitt bringing it up so that the citizens know this. 3 years ago, Shane Kelton, 2 assistant city managers, and a couple of other people, including this city council person, stood at the corner of Glenmore Plaza and talked about this very thing. I did not think I was going to see this in my council lifetime and possibly not in my lifetime. So this partnership that we've got with this additional funds is something that is going to be very, very important. So I appreciate everybody that was involved, Dr. Bonds, Shane Kelton, Tina, everybody from the city. So certainly I'm in favor of this.
Okay, thank you. And Lane Carter, you're on, SMD 5.
Yes, Mayor. Shane, how far down was this on our CIP list? I think it's always.
Shane, what he's asking is, did most of the things on our CIP list, Lane, are not actually done with a year. They're just done with, here's the cost, and it is for future funding. So they're not always designated in a timeline, or if you look at the CIP, you'll find that very often the timeline on it is 2 years ago or 4 years ago or whatever. So Shane, go ahead and answer.
Okay, from the CIP, and actually as we have it, we have all of our bond projects that we have lined out. We have those actually in a prioritized list. And Christoval Road street rehab was actually in the bonding year 5, which was this year. We have just now received those year 5 bond funding. So we're actually right on schedule with this project.
That's a miracle.
Now, granted, from a construction standpoint, we're probably still a year to a year and a half out from construction project. But the funds that we actually received this year were the ones designated for this project.
All right, thank you. Do I have questions from any other council member at this point in time? Here, Tommy, you need to unmute. There you go.
Thank you, Mayor. I wholeheartedly support this program. I am very fortunate to be the council person in which Goodfellow Air Force Base lies. So Mayor, I will enthusiastically make the motion to approve this resolution for the city manager to apply for this Defense Community Infrastructure Pilot Program grant.
And I'll second that, Harry Thomas, Single Member
Harry
District 3.
Thomas is seconding that. We are going to open it up for just a minute of public comment. Naz, would you like to add something?
Yeah, actually, first of all, thank you for allowing us the opportunity to be here with you. As Dr. Bond stated, as Mr. Kelton stated, this is a pilot program, which essentially means it is the first time that we're trying this in the Department of Defense. And for us, it is an absolute honor to get the opportunity, in this case, to sort of like pay the favor back for all the DAC support over the years that you provided to us. And for me, like literally, it took a grand total of 10 seconds for me to sign the letter yesterday to make sure that it goes with the package after this hopefully gets approved today. After this, I, with the rest of the team, will lead a prayer effort. So we not only apply for it, but we actually get approved for it. Again, Madam Mayor, you talk. Every single opportunity that you have, you talk about something that resonates with us at Goodfellow. You talk about making San Angelo a city of choice. We talk about making Goodfellow a base of choice. And this is one more of those logical lines and logical strategic touch points. We get the opportunity to do that. So for me, it is an honor to be able to do that for the city, the first ever DSIP pilot program.
And before we take a vote, I also want to say the following, that I want to thank Shane Kelton, Rick Weiss, Michael Dane, Teresa and Tina, and Daniel Valenzuela, because I think they got tired of listening to me on find a project. Get a project. Not gonna miss this opportunity. Find the project.
I was part of that.
Deep.
I was part of that in the background.
So I thank everybody for the time and effort on this, and let's hope that we receive the grant. So with that, let's take a vote. All in favor, raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
And with none opposed, we are supporting this DSIP grant with the support of approximately $6.5 million. Here we go. Let's hope it happens. Thank you, everyone. With that, I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
Mayor Tommy Hebert, single member District 1, move we adjourn.
Thank you. In a second, please. And with a second by Brenda Gunter, we will now take a vote on that. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your effort, and thank you for your support to each and every one on this call and in this room. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Aye.